Now to the president's economic plan. At the RNC, he's expected to focus not only on making the 2017 tax cuts permanent, but also slashing payroll taxes. And that move is sparking a warning from the chief actuary of Social Security, Stephen Goss, saying that if payroll taxes are eliminated, the Social Security Trust Fund would be, quote, permanently depleted in just 3 years. Joining us now, Larry Kudlow, White House economic advisor. Larry, really great to have you on the program this morning. We've got a lot of questions, but first, can you react to that?
There's no plan to eliminate Social Security taxes. I don't know where that idea came from. It's not true. President Trump is, however, proposing to defer payroll taxes between now and year end, let's say September 1st through December 31st. That would give wages, that would give workers, middle income workers, about an $1,100 weekly wage increase, okay, over the period, $1,100. Now, that will be replaced in terms of the Social Security Trust Fund. We will bond that out, and we will exchange notes with the trust fund. They're called non-marketable securities. It's happened all the time. Democrats who cut the payroll tax in the past went through exactly the same exercise. But here's the key thing. Cutting the payroll tax will affect over 140 million Americans who were able to continue to work. They're like heroes during this pandemic. And it will provide an incentive not only for them to work, but for others to come back to work because of this big wage increase. So I'm afraid I completely disagree. I don't know all these outlandish ideas and extensions and extrapolations. It's a very straightforward, pro-growth, pro-job, pro-wage increase for middle-income workers.
But to confirm, you're saying that there's no plan to cut payroll taxes?
No, none, zero. That's a different subject, and the president has said a million times he will protect the Social Security system, okay? He said that a million times. But he would like a permanent deferral. In other words, he would prefer, and will do everything he can to find ways and means to do this, to forgive the deferral. So therefore, both employees and employers won't have to worry about added tax liabilities in the future. The president wants to give a 6.25% payroll tax cut for higher wages and will defer the payback permanently. That's his goal, and I'll bet you he'll get it after the election.
So this is the president's words on that. We will be, on the assumption I win, and I'm quoting him directly, we are going to be terminating the payroll tax after the beginning of the new year. How's that different?
Well, I'm sorry. I understood that to simply mean that we will permanently defer the payback of that tax cut. That's all that meant. He wasn't talking about a generalized Social Security tax cut. He wants to protect Social Security. Well, I understood that perfectly well, and I think most people did too. He wants payroll tax deferral to become permanent in the sense of the payback will be forgiven. Let me repeat. The payback will be forgiven, so it's a complete, full tax cut, and we need that. Look, Sandra, we're coming out of a rough pandemic contraction. The economy's rebounding beautifully. There's still a lot of hardship out there. We have much work to do. This would absolutely help middle income, lower middle income folks absolutely the most.
Okay. Austin Goolsbee just joined us, formerly of the Obama administration, as you know, now a professor at University of Chicago. He is making the case that what the president has done as far as cutting taxes isn't working. Here he is in his own words. I'll get you to respond.
Trump administration cut taxes $2 trillion for high-income people and big corporations, and we did not get a massive magic beanstalk beans boom from that. I just think this whole trickle-down theory was disproven by the tax cut that Donald Trump passed.
I'll let you respond to that. The president's still getting very high marks and support on his record on the economy, but how do you respond?
Yes. Well, with respect to my friend Austin Goolsbee, actually, the biggest winners of President Trump's 2017 tax cut were middle income, the blue collars, and lower middle income. Sandra, they had the largest increases in wages. In fact, the bottom group had the single largest increase in wages, much greater than the so-called top 1%. Now, people bickered with Kevin Hassett and I when we proposed this and when the president argued for it, but that is exactly how it turned out. Lower corporate taxes, small business taxes, income taxes, and let's not include things like child care credits, which are so very important. The biggest gainers in wages were the middle income and the lower middle income. And look, we had, before the pandemic, a 3.5% unemployment rate. It's incredible. And no inflation. And strong growth, almost 3%. And employment was rising substantially. Very few economists predicted that. That is exactly what happened. And it was across the board, okay? Not only the blue-collar boom, but also African Americans, Hispanics, Asian women, they all had record low unemployment rates. You can't do much better than that.
We hear that a lot from the president. Finally, I want to get your response to Joe Biden, because this is what we were speaking with Austin Goolsbee about. And as Joe Biden in this new interview talking about people paying their fair share, the rich, he said those that are earning over $400,000 will see their taxes go up. Listen to the interview first. And then
I will raise taxes for anybody making over $400,000. Let me tell you why I'm going to do it. It's about time they start paying a fair share of the economic responsibility we have. Corporations should pay a fair share. The fact is, there are corporations making close to $1 trillion that pay no tax at all. I'm not punishing anybody.
So he wants to raise corporate taxes, and in that interview, he makes it very clear he wants to raise taxes on anyone earning over $400,000 in this country.
Well, first of all, I don't want to raise taxes on anybody, neither does President Trump. The corporate tax cuts, as I said, help the middle class the most. Why raise taxes at all? I don't get this class. First of all, the top 1%, so-called, pay the bulk of the taxes. I don't think people know that. Roughly 40% of the taxes paid in this country come from that tiny sliver at the top. Second point, we are coming out of this tough pandemic contraction. We've still got to deal with a lot of hardship and get people back to work and get this economy booming again, although I think it's going to grow 20% in the second half. Just forget supply side, demand side, whatever, Democrat, Republican. Who in their right mind would want to raise taxes? I mean, an honest Keynesian would say spend more and tax less. Why do you want to pick the pockets of taxpayers in order to support unbelievable dreams of government spending? When I look at Mr. Biden's numbers, I see $4 trillion in tax hikes, which itself is extraordinary, but I see over $6 trillion in spending. So beware when you hear this idea only the top rich will pay. The only way you can make up those taxes is by taxing the middle class. Incidentally, Mr. Biden will increase payroll taxes on the middle class. So this thing just doesn't add up, doesn't make any economic sense. That's all I'm saying. I'm being practical here.
Well,
why go that way?
Show
me a good Keynesian.
To show him that the Tax Foundation and the Tax Policy Center came up with the same conclusion that you just did when looking at raising the taxes on those over $400,000 and the corporations, Larry. So we'll have you back to talk about it. We'll see the economic message coming on the stage at the RNC this week, and we always appreciate it. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Sandra. Appreciate it.